Hi everyone, I'm Dustin Leitzel, and I wanted to talk about a campaign that a lot of people say is one of the best campaigns ever written, but not a lot of people play it. And from what I've seen, those who usually start don't finish. I'm talking about Night Below from Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. This is an excellent campaign, but it doesn't get a lot of attention anymore. I'm going to share with you some of the reasons I think this is an incredible campaign and why I feel more people should give it a shot, especially upgrading it to 5th edition and running it with their current groups. Night Below has a huge epic scale. You start from this small town and area of Heronshire. You go into the Underdark, which is one of those areas that we don't really get a lot of experience with in 5th edition. There's the Out of the Abyss campaign, but that's more of a jailbreak type scene, and it kind of takes you around portions of the Underdark, and you get to kind of sample portions of the Underdark here and there, but you don't really get to be, I feel, immersed, and it's a new thing for your characters. It's a hot start, whereas this is more of a slow burn. It starts, as I mentioned, in Heronshire, and you find out that there's these magic users that are going missing, and eventually you uncover the plot that they're being taken down into the Underdark for some infernal purpose, and this leads you into another reason I think it's a great campaign, especially for those who didn't play, especially second, maybe third edition. Is it introduces you to some of those classic monsters that we don't really see a lot of done within 5th edition. But if you're interested in the history of Dungeons and Dragons, it gives you an appreciation and some knowledge for those monsters. Monsters I'm talking about include orcs, which you do see in 5th edition. Another monster that I haven't really seen much of in 5th edition are Kuatoa. And these are one of those classic, kind of joke monsters. I guess you say joke, but they can be serious in the right numbers. A big one in a race that just started getting more attention with the release of Rime of the Frost Maiden are Mind Flayers, or Illithid. These are some of my favorite monsters. Dangerous, they give lots of possibilities for a horror element to your campaign, not just from a Lovecraftian sense, which is where Rime of the Frost Maiden kind of takes them and runs with them some. Also, their psionic powers, and they eat your brains. My players already started encountering some Mind Flayer related monsters in their Night Below campaign, and they're definitely freaked out by them. Night Below taking place in the Underdark is something I think is really interesting. It's an area that you don't really get to have much experience with in other campaigns. In 5th edition, we do have the Out of the Abyss campaign, which is really more of a jailbreak. It's a hot start. You're trying to get away from the drow, and you're kind of getting a sampling of these different areas. You're taking kind of a grand tour of the Underdark. Whereas Night Below, you really get you're in there, your characters are stuck down there for months, years even, and it's I think a really cool thing to have characters go through. One of the unfortunate things with Night Below is, even though it is a well-regarded, I think fairly well known amongst those that had played back during AD&D and second edition, it's one that lots of people have started, but few have finished. Most campaigns get through book one, maybe make it halfway through book two. My college campaign, we made it halfway through book two, made it to the point where we met the Rockseer Elves. But unfortunately, it's not a campaign that a lot of groups have finished. And so therefore, there aren't a lot of resources out there for DMs or new DMs that want to run this campaign. I'm running a campaign currently. We just are almost at the end of book one. We're still going strong. I've definitely taken some ideas from what Matt Colville did in his campaign for book one, and I'm excited to just really do kind of things that I want to do for book two and eventually book three. I'm planning on starting a weekly campaign diaries video session where I can kind of talk about what our characters did. I'm not going to be loading unedited video of our play sessions, which are usually about 3 hours. I'm just not someone that's ever interested in that. If you are, let me know. And as I go through these campaign diaries, I'll also kind of talk about how I adapted this from second edition to fifth edition, which with the action economy in fifth edition, it's mostly about maybe scaling back monsters. I usually keep the same monsters and some of their stats in what second edition had, just have fewer monsters. That's it for today. I hope you're interested in learning more about Night Below. And if you want to keep up with this, like and subscribe this channel and sign up for the notifications so you can be notified when more campaign diary content comes out. Thanks, and I'll see you below.